I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of the Revelation, chapter 19. So let's focus on verses 7 and 8. Let us be glad and rejoice and give Him glory, because the marriage of the Lamb has come, and His wife has prepared herself. She was permitted to wear fine linen, bright and pure. The fine linen represents the righteous acts of the saints. Now Jesus, as the bridegroom, is found many places in Scripture. The Song of Solomon describes a passionate, intimate relationship. It's a love between a man and a Shulamite wife. And many Bible commentators have seen a correlation between the Song of Solomon as a typical representation of the loving relationship between the Messiah and His people. And in Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14, Jesus taught a parable of a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. And this was an obvious reference to the union between Jesus Himself and His believers. Matthew 25, verses 1 through 13, gives another parable of 10 virgins, and they all went out to meet the bridegroom. And this typifies the church going out to meet Jesus as He returns. John the Baptist said of the Messiah in John 3, verse 29, "He who has the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom who stands and he hears him, he rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice." The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 2, he said this, "For I am jealous for you with the godly jealousy. For I betrothed you to one husband, that to the Messiah I might present you as a pure virgin." Now today's passage in the Revelation describes that marriage ceremony between Jesus and His bride, the church. And often in the Bible, unfaithfulness of God's people is referred to as infidelity or spiritual adultery. And everyone has sinned and everyone has been unfaithful to God. And that's why the Messiah's redemption is so valuable. As it says in Romans chapter 3, verse 23, "And that while we were yet sinners, the Messiah, or Christ, died for us." Perhaps another reading of Hosea is in order. My point is this: the great grace of God is that He allows us, people who are known collectively as His bride, the church, He allows us to be clothed in white despite our past infidelities. That's how good that Jesus' sacrifice atones for our sin. We were allowed to wear white and to do it with full confidence. God's grace is not simply a cover-up, by the way. Upon receiving the atoning sacrifice of Jesus, we are literally washed white by His blood. And then we are considered spiritually virginal to God. So at the marriage of the Lamb, will you be among those who are wearing white as the bride of Christ, or will you be one who was wearing sackcloth, having been cast out into utter darkness? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.